We have a situation in crypto today where privacy hasn't been given sufficient importance, and that's a very dangerous path. I believe that the biggest step we need to make in terms of development in Bitcoin, for example, is better privacy. And we see a lot of experiments happening right now, including zero-knowledge proofs and range proofs that could lead us to higher degrees of privacy. The next few proposed improvements to the Bitcoin protocol actually involve very privacy-centric improvements, and I'm very glad to see that. But the other thing you've got to realize is that one of the elements of engineering that is almost always true is you don't optimize for a problem that doesn't exist yet. And the problem here is that the erosion of privacy and the ability to do statistical analysis isn't visible to the average user. It doesn't affect them to lose their financial privacy because most of them already have financial privilege and they already have very little financial privacy and they're not being actively persecuted. All we're looking for is a couple of direct attacks against people who have lost their financial privacy that way. And what you're going to see is an enormous immune response by the entire crypto space. And it will start developing privacy features faster than you can imagine. We already saw this in the peer-to-peer space with the evolution of Napster. Napster was the friendly, cuddly bear of peer-to-peer file sharing. It was the one that wanted desperately to make a deal with the music industry. But they said no. And they shut it down, so Nutella popped up, and they shut it down, so LimeWire popped up, and they shut it down, so BitTorrent popped up, and they can't shut it down. They evolved decentralization by creating exactly the kind of hostile stimulus that a directed evolution technology that can move and mutate fast enough by the most creative and determined people who you can't hire because they're not interested in money, win that arms race by evolving and mutating that technology until it can resist the attack. Nicholas Nassim Taleb calls these systems anti-fragile. They're systems that not only resist attack, but in the process of being attacked, evolve strength and become more and more robust. The internet is an anti-fragile system, and open blockchains are anti-fragile systems. I'm not worried. We already have privacy-centric blockchains, and those blockchains are leading the path in terms of research in order to help us adopt these in a more generic way across the board. We've learned the lesson of the internet. The internet had insufficient encryption and privacy, and that gave a lot of governments the opportunity to co-opt our information. Hopefully, we will not repeat that mistake. And so here's my little prediction. Bitcoin is the cuddly little gecko of cryptocurrencies. If they try to stomp on the cuddly little gecko, it will start evolving. It will start evading. It will become stealthier. It will grow teeth and nails. And one day, it will become, or something very much like it, or something that simply has the name, but none of the original characteristics, will become the Komodo dragon of cryptocurrencies. And if you try to step on a Komodo dragon, it will bite your fucking foot off. Now, do we want to play with the cuddly cryptocurrencies by accepting that in free and open societies, the ability of people to transact freely and with privacy should be celebrated as a fundamental human right that protects our freedoms, our democracy, our ability to express ourselves? Or should we be so paralyzed by fear that in order to stop a few bad actors, we engage not only in collective punishment of the innocent, but we then give the levers of totalitarian surveillance to the few who will abuse them? Let the little gecko do its thing. It will bring freedom to the world. It will actually solve many of the problems we have today that we've created through financial inclusion or exclusion.